Hello everybody, this is TechHut. In this video, what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to install TrueNAS Core within Proxmox. Now this right here is the homepage for TrueNAS Core, the world's most popular storage OS. What it is a solution so you can basically turn any machine you have into a network attached storage device. And then from there, set up hard drives in a RAID configuration, install popular services on it. You could really do a lot. And you can see down here some of the more specific features. This will be linked down below. And if you don't know what Proxmox is, this right here is my specific instance of Proxmox. Essentially what this is a virtualization environment in which you could create full virtual machines or containers to run various operating services, whatever you need, and kind of separate them out. And technically I could just install TrueNAS Core on the entire system and use that to get a lot of the same features and functionality, but I do like the option to have various things separated out in different virtual machines and containers. For example, I have a separate container running Protainer right here, or Portainer, and then I have another virtual machine which is running a suite of these applications here, which I want separate from my main NAS installation instance that I'm going to be putting on this. Now, regardless of your reason or use case, it's actually a fairly straightforward process. We're going to install TrueNAS on here, and before we do that, we're going to want to go ahead and pass through some hard disks. This machine running Proxmox is actually my old desktop that I went ahead, turned into my home lab. I put in 3 4-terabyte hard drives, which if I go, I believe it is here, go to disks, you can see them right here, SDA, SDB, and SDC, all 4-terabyte hard drives. What we're going to need to do to properly get TrueNAS to recognize these and use these as if they're just native, not through a virtual machine, is pass them through, but in addition to that, we're going to need to do a little extra configuration so TrueNAS can read the serial numbers, because generally if you don't do that, TrueNAS kind of gets mad at you and is just not a fan. So once you kind of have your blank environment and you're ready to go, you're going to want to go ahead and download TrueNAS Core. You could go to their website, again linked down below. Click on download. Here you're going to want to scroll down and click this link right here. No thank you. Of course, you should probably sign up. And TrueNAS Core. So if we just go ahead and download the stable, the download process will begin. Luckily, I already have it downloaded and I actually have it already uploaded. To upload, what you're going to want to do is go to your local storage node here, go over to ISO images, click on upload, and then go to select file. If I go over to downloads, you can see it is right here. I would just hit open. That would begin the upload process, but since I do already have it in there, we're going to be good to go. So from there, we're going to create our virtual machine. You can give it whatever ID you prefer, as long as it's not used. Name, I'm going to call this TrueNAS. And for this one, I'm going to want to start it on boot. Now for this setup, we could go with a lot of the default settings. So we're going to go next. OS, we're going to select that TrueNAS ISO we put in here. This is technically free BSD, I believe, but Linux is going to be fine. We'll go next. For system, I'm going to be using all the defaults here. Next. Now for disks, this is not going to be the disks we're going to pass through, and we can't do it through here. This is going to be the disk that the operating system's installed on. And 32 should technically be completely fine, but I'm going to give it 64. If we head over to this TrueNAS site here, we can see the full hardware requirements, kind of reference this a bit. You see the minimum requirement is a 16 gig boot drive, as well as 8 gigabytes of memory, and a 2-core Intel or AMD processor. So let's go back over here. 64 is going to be fine for me. I'm going to go next. Here we have the amount of cores. We're going to definitely want to up that to at least 2. Now I'm going to be using this for Nextcloud and a couple other services. So I'm going to give it access to 4 of my system cores. And then we'll go next. Here we're going to want to up this to 8 gigabytes. So I forgot, I think it's like 96 or something. Bam. There you go, 92. That was close. So pop that in there, go next. And all this is going to be good, just the default bridge. If you have other network devices set up, just go with the one that's connected to your LAN. But for me, the default settings is going to be perfect. Boom, and then confirm and finish. But first, if this right here is checked, make sure you go ahead and uncheck it because we're going to want to do some configurations first. So let's click on finish. And there is our TrueNAS right here. And to actually pass through these hard drives, we're going to be kind of referencing this wiki page. This is pass through physical disks to the virtual machine. And it looks a little complicated, but it actually is a fairly straightforward process. All right, so here we are in the shell for our node. And the very first thing that we're going to want to do is install an application, not in caps lock, an application called LSHW. What this does is it allows us to see a lot of information about our system and the components. You can see I already have it installed, and it's at this point what I'd recommend is opening up a application here that we can use to copy down the serial number and the IDs of our drives. If we run this command here, which is the class disk and class storage, we should be able to see the disks that we're going to be using. In this case, it's going to be disk 0, 1, and 2. And here we're going to have access to our serial numbers, which are going to be very important. And we can see this is at dev SDA, dev SDB, and dev SDC. So I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to type in SDA, SDB, and SDC. And then let's copy down these serial numbers. So this one for SDA, give that a copy. I'm going to paste it on in there and then just repeat the process for however many drives you happen to be doing this with. So I'm going to grab this last one here, give that a copy, and then paste it on in right here. Okay, and for this next step, let's make this a little bigger so we can actually output all the information we're going to be needing. This is the command that we're going to use. It's a little long, it's a little complicated, but it will spit out the information that we need. And here are our device IDs. You can see we have 2 IDs for each one. Really, the only difference is formatting. These ATA ones include the serial number, and this WWM one does not. Any guides or anything I've seen recommend using this one right here, which does include the serial number of the specific drive. But just in case if you're only getting these ones, I will show you how to pass through the serial number in the configuration in just a sec. So this one is for the SDA, as we can see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that ID there. I'm going to grab these ones for the B, paste it on in there, and then let's grab our C. So copy, open up Kate, and then paste it right here. So now it's at this point that we can add these to our configuration. And just real quick before we move on, let's go to this container here and see what it looks like before. So under hardware, you can see we have the hard disk that we added, the 64 gig one at SCSI0. So we want to make sure we don't use that one, and you'll see what I mean in just a second, because we're going to be using this QM set command right here. So I'm going to paste this in, and then get rid of this ID right here. And you're going to want to pay attention to the QM set 100. You're going to want to use the ID for the virtual machine. You can see for me it is 100, but change that as needed. And for SCSI, this one's 5. I'm going to make this 1 because we're already using 0. And then let's go ahead and paste in this right here. So give that a copy and then paste it in. So hit paste, enter, and then we can see we updated VM ID 100. So now if we go to that virtual machine and we go to hardware, right here we can see hard disk SCSI1, and everything is looking good. So now we just need to repeat that step for our other drives. And there's my last one, making sure that again for everyone you're going up a number with the actual drive or the SCSI. Let's hit enter. There we go. Now if we head over to TrueNAS, we are in hardware, we can see we now have those 3 drives. Now, like I said, depending on the device ID you used, it might not have the serial number attached to it. So to edit that, all we're going to want to do is go back to our home lab into the shell. And then before we edit this, we can make a backup. So to do that, we're going to do copy, paste, and this is going to be the configuration for that virtual machine. So I'm going to paste that. This is an Etsy PVE QEM server 100 conf. Obviously change the 100 depending on whatever your number is. And let's just throw this into root. And then I'll do like 100-backup.conf. Hit enter. So now that we're backed up, we can go and edit it. So I'm going to just redo this, get rid of that, and nano in. And then from here, we could see the disks that we just added at 1, 2, and 3. So we are going to go to the end of this, and we're going to add in the serial number variable. So let's go like that, paste this down the line, and then throw in those serial numbers. So I have them here, just copy and paste, get our last one in there, and then we should be good to go. So let's exit out of here and fire up TrueNAS. And you can see beforehand under the hardware tab, we now have those serial numbers in there, and they do seem to match up. So let's start that machine, go under console, and here is our TrueNAS boot screen. So I'm going to skip this by pressing 1, let it boot into the system. And then when you're in, you'll have a couple different options. We're going to go ahead and install and upgrade. It's a fairly easy process, and to see that it's working, we can see our hard disks here, but we're going to want to install this on that 64 gig volume we created. Continue. This will erase all partitions. Let's go ahead and proceed. Give ourselves a root password, so don't forget this. And then OK. And then let's boot via BIOS and Proxmox. Probably have a better time doing that. 16 gig swap partition, I'm going to say no swap. I could always just give it a little more actual RAM a little bit later, but obviously do that as your preferences see fit. And when we have an installation successful, it's going to look something like this. We can continue and then reboot our system. So here we go, Proxmox, and it should put us into the boot and not the actual ISO. So here, yep, boot TrueNAS. Let's go ahead and hit 1. And it should be at this point when it boots up, we're not really going to need to do anything else. Just like installing Proxmox, it's going to give us the IP address that we need to connect to. And upon first boot, it's going to take a little longer. As you can see there, this is going to take a long time. And here we go. So you have options in here to do some configuration and reset your password if you forgot it. But right here's our IP address ending in 192, and this is going to be 110. Enter, and here we are. So the login is going to be root, and then that password we selected during the installation process. Let's log in, and here on the dashboard you get a lot of really nice information. We see our interface here, help, our memory, CPU, but what is most important for what we did in this video is storage. So if I go to storage here and I look at disks, we can see all the disks with their serial numbers. And I can use that from there to create a pool. Let's add a new pool, create pool. Here, let's give it a super unique name, pool. Select all available disks, throw them over into this pool. And then we have our RAID options here. So we have RAID Z. There's only 3 drives, so we could either stripe, mirror it, which mirroring would be the best for if a drive fails, or if 2 drives fail, but I'm going to go with good old RAID Z, which should give us just above 7 terabytes of the 12-ish that's in the system. So let's create that pool, confirm, create pool, and there we go. We have our new pool, which is our file system with 7.14 terabytes available. So now it's from here that you'd want to go to users, create the proper users, go over to sharing, set up your Windows shares and all that. This was just the installation. There will be more videos coming soon as I am going to spend some time learning TrueNAS and everything that it can provide. So with that, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Anything and everything that I have mentioned will be linked down below. And with all that, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day and goodbye.